Hello everyone. Welcome you all to a short tutorials Meghalaya's first attempted channel. My dear friends, today we are going to see the last part or the last sub-unit of Unit 2 CDP. Alright. Here we are going to discuss about the language development in children. Now, what is a language? A language is anything which helps us to convey the message, or which helps us to express ourselves, right? What we want to say, or what we are trying to say, or trying to convey to someone else, right? That is called language. Language is a medium, right? It's a medium which helps us to communicate with people in and around us, right? Let us see introduction to language development. Language development is a vital part of cognitive development, closely linked to brain's left hemisphere. Now you see, it means that language, the development of language is very important, right? And always remember, right, whatever I'm saying right now, you can write it down. What am I saying is that language development is a very important part of cognitive development. Language development is a part, right? Remember that language development is a part of cognitive development, and when we talk about language, it is directly related to the left hemisphere of the brain, which means that we have the brain be divided basically into two hemispheres, right? The left and the right. On the right side we have the creativity, the intelligence, right? But on the left hand side, or on the left side of the brain, it is associated with the development of language. Alright, now what is the function of language? A language enables us to communicate, to express ourselves, and to understand in and around the environment what is going on in the society and the community, right? Now, language skills are categorized into two types, right? Language, whenever we talk about what are the skills of language, it is categorized into two types. What is that? Receptive skills, that is listening and reading, gaining or absorbing information passively, and productive skills, speaking and writing, creating or producing something. Now see, this is very important, alright? Whenever we talk about what are the different type of language skills, always remember that there are broadly four types of language skills. What are they? That is listening, speaking, reading, writing. Listening comes first, then comes listening, speaking, right? Then comes speaking, then reading, and then writing. LSRW. What is that? LSRW. Now this LSRW can be further categorized into two parts. What are they? First one is receptive. Receptive word means you will just take it, you are just passively listening to it, alright? Listening and reading, remember this is important, listening and reading are called passive language skills. Why? Because when you are listening or when you are reading, you are just gaining the information, you are just taking the information, right? You are not giving anything from yourself, right? You are in fact taking something from outside. Whenever you are reading a book, you are reading it for understanding, right? Suppose if you read science, you try to understand like what is written there in the science. Suppose you are reading a Bible, then you are trying to understand what is written in the Bible, right? That is the way in which we gain by reading and listening. These days podcast is very famous, right? We are listening to the podcast and we are listening to the ebooks because we don't have much time these days, right? What is that? That is a way of getting information, right? Now when we talk about productive skills, productive, by the word itself, you know that this is something where we are creating or we are producing something, right? From ourselves, from within ourselves, we are going to produce something which will be beneficial for others. Suppose speaking and writing. When you are speaking on a public rally, or in the podium, or on the stage, or during farewells, teachers' days, Independence Day, Republic Days, right? Whenever you are speaking, you are conveying a message. You're saying something which is beneficial for the crowd at large, right? And of course, when we talk about writing, so writing is very important, and writing means when an author writes a book, or when a poet writes poems, right? So these are what? These are writing skills. They are trying to convey their art, their creativity through a medium known as poems or the stories or the plays, right? So these are two types of skills: receptive and productive. Receptive means listening and reading, productive means speaking and writing. Remember that, right? Next, if we talk about what are the components of language, this is very important. Listen carefully and write it down. Number one is phoneme. Now, what is phoneme? And friends, this word phoneme is important. In fact, all the components of language are important from your exam point of view. So that's why when I'm explaining, please try to listen to it seriously. All right, listen. So phoneme, the smallest unit of sound in a language, often meaningless individually. So now, what do you understand when we say phone? Mobile phone, telephone. So whenever you hear a word phone, always try to understand that it has got something to do with sound. Right? Phone means sound. So what is the smallest unit? The smallest unit of sound or the smallest unit of language is phoneme. Right? Even though the sound is produced without meaning, it is still called phoneme. For example, ch is ch, then m, r, s, whatever it is, right? It is a sound. Even though it has no meaning, it is taken to be a phoneme, right? So whatever it is, any word, or not even a word, just 2 letters or 3 letters without any meaning is known as phoneme, right? Now then, what about when we take 3 words? So let us proceed to the next one. There is morpheme, the smallest unit of language with meaning. All right, now when we talk about morpheme, it is the smallest unit of language where the words has or where the words have meaning. It is not meaningless like phoneme, right? In whenever we say morpheme, it has got a meaning. For example, when we say rat, when we say cat, when we say dog, when we say plant, so it has got a meaning, right? So whatever the word is, when it has got a specific meaning, then we call it a morpheme. But when there is a word which has no meaning, that is called a phoneme. Of course, both of these will make sound, right? But the former has no meaning, but the later has got a meaning, right? Now syntax. Syntax is very important. I think it came in 2021. When I wrote my exam, I think it came. So what is syntax? The rules for constructing sentences, including subject-object placement and language structure. Example, she is playing follows English syntax rules. Now, whenever, my dear friends, you hear the word syntax, always remember that it has got something to do with the structure of the sentence, or it has got something to do with the rules. So whenever you hear the word syntax, in the back of your mind, remember 2 words. One is rules, another one is structure. One is rules, another one is structure, right? So remember that. So what is syntax? So syntax is or are the rules for constructing sentences according to the structure. Suppose in a sentence we have got the subject and the predicate, right? Sentence we have got the subject and the object, right? So that is a proper structure. Suppose, can I say guitar playing she? Is that making a sense? No, it is senseless. It is useless, right? But if I say she is playing a guitar, is it making sense? Yes, it is. So how do you differentiate between these two? That she is playing a guitar and guitar is she playing. You make difference by the proper structure, by the proper rules, right? Where we have to put the subject, where we should put the object, right? So when I say she is playing a guitar, I am framing a sentence into proper subject and predicate and according to the proper rules and syntax of that particular sentence. But if I say guitar playing she is, then that is senseless, right? Because the sentences, the subject and the object are not properly arranged. Remember that. Now, semantics. What is semantics? So semantics focuses on meaning. A sentence may be structurally correct but still lacks sense. Example, table sings a song, grammatically correct but meaningless. So semantics is very interesting. It means that something can be grammatically and structurally correct. It might be a correct sentence, but it is senseless or it is meaningless. As they have given the example, the table sings a song. So have you ever heard a table singing a song for you? A birthday song for you? No, right? So the table do not sing, the table never sings. So that's why these type of sentences are called as semantics. So a sentence might be correct, but it is meaningless. Now, syllable. So what do you understand when we say syllable? So a unit of sound in a word containing at least one vowel. So syllable means, suppose if I say Ashok, there are two syllable. One is one is ashok, right? So if I say, suppose enjoy, so HIND, hin, JOY, joy, right? So enjoy. Suppose if I say John, so John, there is only one syllable, John, finish, right? If I say enjoy, two. If I say Ashok, two. If I say water, two. If I say sunflower, three, right? Sunflower, so three syllable. If I say watermelon, then there are four syllable, watermelon, right? So four syllable. This is how we differentiate between the word or between the words of different syllable. So if I say sound, how many syllable are there? If I say guitar, how many syllable are there? If I say teacher, how many syllable? Yes, two syllable in teacher word, right? So this is how, or this is what we mean by syllable. All right. If I say Ashok tutorials, Ashok, two syllable, Ashok, and tutorials, or three. In tutorials we have got three syllable, tutorials, right? Three syllable. So this is how, or this is what we mean by syllable. All right. Now let us see stages of language development. So language do not develop in a day, right? The language, they never develop in one day. So why? Or what are the different stages of language development? Let us see. The most crucial stage of language development is in early childhood, that is 2 to 6 years, or the preschool years. So the early childhood, or when the child is 2 to 6 years, this is very crucial, very important period of an individual's life, and this is the stage in which the maximum language development takes place. All right, remember that. Now there are different stages. So let us see. Pre-linguistic stage. This is the first stage. So here 0 to 1 year. So when a child is from 0 to 1 year, from birth, 0 means birth, right? From birth to 1 year, they are in pre-linguistic stage. So pre-linguistic stage involves what? It involves the crying, cooing, and babbling, right? So when the child babbles or when the child cries, so they are in pre-linguistic stage. Now single word stage, that is 12 to 18 months, right? 12 to 18 months means 1 year and a half. So when a child is 1 year and a half, they start understanding or speaking first words emerge, such as mama, papa, bowl, daddy, mama, all these things they say, right? So this is what, these are one word, right? Two word stages from 18 to 24 months, which means 1.5 to 2 years, right? Example is want a toy, which means like the baby will say give chocolate, or take this, or give mama, like that, right? So this two word stage. Then starts the telegraphic stage, that is 2 to 3 years. Example, so when a child is in the year 2 or 3, they say daddy go work, like that. Of course they do not know about continuous tense or present tense, or this type of tense they do not know, but still they will try to make proper sentence. So they will say daddy go work, mama driving, mama cooking food, like that, right? They say. Now, complex sentence stage. So complexity or complex sentence stage starts when the child is 3 to 5 years. Vocabulary and sentence structures improve significantly. So when the child is in stage 5, that is of the age 3 to 5 years, they have got a lot of vocabulary, which means they have got a lot of words inside their head, inside their brain. Now they are ready to burst. Now they are ready to speak out whatever they have heard. They have been listening since their childhood, since their infancy. Now they are ready to speak out. They have got enough vocabulary, right? Right. Now there are different theories, right, which are associated with language development, and there are different psychologists. So first of all, let us talk about Jean Piaget. So Jean Piaget, we have also seen or studied about Jean Piaget's cognitive development theory, right, both in paper 1 and paper 2. So if you have not watched Jean Piaget's cognitive theory, then please watch that video as well. Now let us see what do Jean Piaget has to say about the language development. Cognitive theory, Jean Piaget. Thought precedes language. Children must first understand concepts, learning associated words. So Jean Piaget says that thought, the thinking, comes before language. He says that the child learns to think first and then he or she learns to speak. So this is what Piaget believes, and this is very important. Again, I'm repeating, this have this question were asked even in CTET and MTET. Many a time these questions are asked. So always remember, according to Piaget, thought comes first and then comes the language. That's why we say thought precedes the language. This is important. Now, egocentric speech. So when we were discussing about Piaget, you have come across the egocentric speech, right? So what is egocentric speech? Self-centered speech. Children talk to themselves or toys without intending to communicate with others. Piaget considered this speech useless. Now, egocentric speech means you might have seen children, they talk to their Barbie dolls, they talk to their car, they talk to their books, they talk to their, different type of toys, whatever they have. So suppose if a girl child is having a Barbie doll or a doll, then she will talk to the doll like, oh, are you hungry? Oh, are you feeling hungry? Or why are you want to sleep, or you want to have something? The children, they talk to the doll, right? Self-centered. So this speech is called self-centered because the child is talking to himself or herself. Oh, this has fallen. Oh, I should not do like this, like that. Self-talking, right? So this is egocentric speech. Now, according to Piaget, this egocentric speech is useless. He said that egocentric speech has no importance, or it's not crucial for a child's development. All right, he said that. Remember, this is important, that egocentric speech was not given importance by Piaget, right? It was termed as useless. Now, collective monologue. What is collective monologue? Collective means collection. Monologue means a single type of dialect or a single type of anything, let it be. So when many children talk simultaneously but nobody interacts, suppose there are 6 boys and girls sitting together, but all of them are busy in their mobile phone, right? So this type of situation is called as collective monologue, because everybody is sitting, somebody is browsing WhatsApp, somebody is browsing Facebook, somebody is browsing YouTube, and they are talking to themselves, or somebody is watching cricket. So they are talking to themselves. They are sitting together, but they are not talking to one another. In fact, they are talking to themselves, right? Looking at the phone. So this is monologue, collective monologue. Remember that. Now we have another psychologist, that is Leo Vygotsky. This is important, all right? Leo Vygotsky is also important. So Leo Vygotsky is often known as social interactionist, right? Social interactionist. So emphasize the role of social interaction in language development. So according to Jean Piaget, society, culture are very important. This point is important to note. According to Leo Vygotsky, society and culture are important. However, society and culture were ignored by Jean Piaget. Alright, Jean Piaget has ignored, but Leo Vygotsky has given a lot of importance to the society and the culture. Now, types of speech. So according to Vygotsky, there are three types of speech, that is social speech, private speech, and silent inner speech. Now, what is social speech? 2+ years, talking to others. So when a child is of the age 2 and above, then he or she starts talking to others, right? Mama, papa, like that. So that is what? That is social speech, talking to the society or talking to the individuals in the society, right? Now, private speech. By the word itself, you understand private means what? Talking to oneself. Considered crucial for problem solving. Now, according to Vygotsky, private speech is important, and this private speech you can consider or you can relate with Piaget's egocentric speech. So Piaget said that egocentric speech or private speech is useless. However, Vygotsky said that this is very crucial. And why this is important? Why private speech is important according to Vygotsky? It is important because this type of speech helps the individual in problem solving, right? Now, silent inner speech. What is silent inner speech? So this develops when the child is of the age 7+ years. Internalized self-talk. Now, even you and me, we do silent inner speech, right? Many a time we are not able to talk, so we think in our mind, right? Suppose you see a situation going on. You are sitting inside a bus, and you see accident has happened. Then inside your mind, lots of thoughts will go on, right? You will feel like, should I go and help them, or should I not go and help? What should I do, or how should I help them? Somebody should help him, like that, right? Something will go into your mind. So that is your silent inner speech. Now, suppose if you are going by a bus or a train or a flight, and boys, suppose you are lucky enough to see a beautiful girl. So inside your mind, lots and lots of thoughts will go on, right? Should I talk to her? Should I exchange her mobile number with mine? How should I start talking to her? Or is she looking at me? Or is she also interested in me? Or is she single or already taken? Or what? So what is her status? I do not know, but I really appreciate her beauty. I really adore her beauty. These are some thoughts the boys might have. And similarly, even the girls. When a girl suddenly see a handsome hunk, a handsome boy, many thoughts will go on her mind, like, oh wow, he is so tall, muscular, energetic, looks very happy, and looks very friendly and frank. So should I approach him, or will he approach me? Shall I go and initiate a talk, or shall I go and try to communicate with him so that we can exchange the number and later on we can become friends, right? So these are some of the thoughts. These are silent speech, which means you are just talking within yourself. You're not talking from your mouth. You're just talking mind to heart or heart to mind, right? That is called silent inner speech. But private speech means you are talking orally, right? What happens when you are in a hurry for a party and you just came out from washroom and running, and suddenly you fall down, or suddenly you are hit by something? Then the sound comes up from your mouth, ouch, right? So that is a kind of private speech. You are talking to yourself, right? Or sometimes maybe you are in exam hall, right? You're sitting and writing exam. So the teachers are sitting, but they are not nearby you, and you feel like, I think I should take out my phone. Should I take out, or should I not? Should I take out, or should I not? You'll be looking at the teacher and thinking, and even do self-talking, right? So these are private speech. Vygotsky viewed private speech as essential for cognitive growth, opposing Piaget's view of egocentric speech as useless. Yes, so here Vygotsky and Piaget, they contradict, which means they are opposite to one another. Piaget said private speech is useless, and Vygotsky said private speech is very important for the cognitive growth of the individual, right? And this private speech is also known as egocentric speech. And who said that? Piaget. Remember that. Thought and language. So, as you know, Piaget said that thought proceeds or precedes the language. Piaget said that thought comes first and then comes the language. But what did Vygotsky say? Vygotsky said that initially or in the beginning, thought is different and language is different, right? Which means thoughts and language are independent, which means they are not dependent on one another, right? They are separate. But as the child grows, thought and language merge together, right? It merged together in which age? From 1 to 2 years of age, right? Now we will see another psychologist, that is nativist theory. Who gave the nativist theory? So it was Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky, who gave nativist theory. Now, what does nativist theory say? Let us see. Humans have an innate ability for language acquisition. So he says, according to Noam Chomsky's theory, it is believed that human beings, right, you and me, we have inborn. Innate means what? Innate means inborn. Inborn, which means when we are born with the language acquisition capacity. So according to Chomsky, it means that we have the ability, or the genes are there inside us, which will help us to acquire the language in the long run, right? Now, he proposed the language acquisition device, a hypothetical brain mechanism enabling children to understand and produce language. Now you see, remember, LAD is very important. Now what is LAD? It is not LED, alright? It is LAD. So what is LAD? Language acquisition device. So Noam Chomsky believed that inside our brain we have a hypothetical brain mechanism, right, which enables us to understand and produce languages. It does not mean that there is a chip or a motherboard inside a brain. It's not like that. It is just believed that we have the capacity, or we have the ability, right, or we have a device that is called as language acquisition device inside our brain, which will help us to understand and learn the language as we grow older and older, right? Now, human possesses universal grammar, an innate set of grammatical principles shared across languages. Now, it is, according to Noam Chomsky, it is also believed that humans have universal grammar. We all have got universal grammar within ourselves, right? Which means an innate. Innate means what? Just now I said it means inborn set of grammatical principles shared across languages, right? So we have the universal grammatical principles within ourselves, which helps us to speak the sentences and the words correctly. Behaviorist theory. So B.F. Skinner. So B.F. Skinner is another psychologist who has given the behaviorist theory. So language is learned through imitation, reinforcement, and conditioning. So according to B.F. Skinner, we learn the language how? By imitating, or reinforcement and conditioning. Now what is imitation? Imitation means when we try to copy somebody, right? Many people, they say dialogues, right? What dialogues they say? They speak different dialogues. For example, from Bollywood movies like रिश्ते में तो हम तुम्हारे बाप लगते हैं, नाम है शहनशाह, right? This is one dialogue. Then कितने आदमी थे, right? So all these are what? These are the dialogues or the imitation. Suppose you sometimes imitate your mom when you're, especially when you're angry, right? If your mommy says, hey, go and fetch water, or go and get me one glass of water, then if she say, suppose if she says, Purnima, please go and get me a glass of water, you will say, can you give me a glass of water, right? So this is how we imitate, right? But this imitation is in a wrong way. But children, they try to imitate the parents or the elders in front of them, right? So this is how we talk about, or this is what we mean by behaviorist theory. And reinforcement means, enforcing or making something more and more, accurate or stronger when we are talking about it or when we are using it. In this case, we have the language. And conditioning means to have certain rules and standards and strategies in order to do something, maybe a language. Now, what are the different factors which influence the language development? Do you think there will be certain factors which will affect or influence the language development? Yes, they are. So, what are they? Number one is biological factors. So, brain development and genetic predisposition. Now, of course, when somebody is, alright, let's see the example first. Example, damage to Broca's or Wernicke's areas can impair speech. So we know that there are different problems associated with speech, right? Some some people they stutter, some people they stammer, right? So they have the language problem. This can happen because of the biological factors like the brain development and genetic predisposition. The conditions can be damage to Broca's or Wernicke's areas can impair speech. Now, environmental factors, exposure to language-rich environments such as storytelling or interactive play. So, suppose a child is exposed to an environment where language, they can learn the language through different means and medium. For example, storytelling through podcast, through interplay. So these are the impact environment can have on the language of the child. The socio-cultural factors, film background, culture, and socio-economic status influence vocabulary and fluency. What is this? So family background. So what is your family background? What is your culture? What is your socio-economic status? So that also adds up to the vocabulary and language learning of the individual. All right. Now emotional factors. So there are also some emotional factors in the language development. What is that? A supportive environment enhances language learning. Suppose, many people are gifted with the art of learning languages. Some people they know 6 languages, some they know 15, some they know 20 languages, right? So this is the art. Suppose, for example, suppose you are a Garo girl and you fall in love with a Bengali boy, alright? Then that Garo girl will try to learn that her boyfriend's language, and that boyfriend will try to learn the girlfriend's language, that is Garo, right? So these are what? These are emotions, these are love, right? They have love for one another, and this love will influence both of them to share and learn each other's language, right? So these are the emotional setup which will influence the learning of language in both the individual, that is the Garo girl and a Bengali boy, or a Khasi girl and a Garo boy, or a Nepali boy and an Assamese girl. So it can be anything, right? Language skills and pedagogy. So what are the skills? So this one I have already explained actually. So teaching receptive skills, listening and reading, I have already explained that. So these are some key points or the summary you can remember. So early childhood is from 2 to 6 years, and it is the most influential period for language development. Alright, the language is closely tied to cognitive growth and social interaction. Who said this? Who said this? Piaget or Vygotsky? Of course, Vygotsky said this. Piaget and Vygotsky offered contrasting views on egocentric and private speech, with Vygotsky emphasizing its importance. Yes. Chomsky concept of LAD. What is the full form of LAD? You please say. Receptive and productive skills are integral to language mastery and must be nurtured equally. So this one also you understood. Everything you understood, right? So let me give some of the additional notes to you. So this can be some additional notes you can note down, right? This much is enough. So thank you everyone for staying connected with the Ashok Tutorials Meghalaya's first MTech channel, and I believe and hope that you have got to learn a lot about different types of language developmental skills or language development skill, and how language development is directly connected with cognitive development. And I believe that you have also learned about Piaget, Noam Chomsky, Vygotsky, and B.F. Skinner, right? So I hope it was an interesting session with you. So hope to see you in the next video. So thank you everyone for staying connected with Ashok Tutorials Meghalaya's first MTech channel. Thank you. Keep smiling and happy learning.